Okay, welcome everybody. Day 5 of the America's Cup. An incredible day on the water for the 4th day of racing after yesterday's postponement. And finally today we've seen a team take out 2 race wins, Chris. Team New Zealand snuck by in that last one by the skin of their teeth.
Oh, we saw some lead changes as well.
Amazing. What a day. Just so different than the sort of the groundhog day we've been seeing from the past.
Yeah, it was interesting, wasn't it? I mean, race 1, Rossa got off the line really strong. A little bit of a left shift maybe in the pre-start. Both boats ended up coming back to the line very early, and the Kiwis, almost ran out of runway to be able to kill it. So they did, a nice job at the end of that to actually get a start off the pin. But obviously, Rossa came from the windward end with a lot more speed, and they were able to sort of gauge off and create a little bit of separation. And the Kiwis went for a bit of a luff, which didn't work out for them. And then from there, you sort of thought it was going to be, you backed into the corner on the left-hand side, come off the boundary, and you thought it was kind of going to be a bit of a follow-the-leader type scenario again. But, man, we saw the boat speed of the Kiwis today.
Yeah, that second upwind where they managed to tack around the bottom gate and then just put the hammer down in that lefty. And as you heard from Pete between races that they got a little 10-degree righty, which worked in their favour, but they did everything they could and used the wheels of the boat to take advantage of that.
Yeah, it just seems like they have a real good sort of low fast forward mode when they want it. And looking at some of the numbers on the virtual eye sort of screens that we've got in the radio studio, it doesn't seem like when you do that the VMG's much different. But it just gives them the ability to get across the race course faster to what maybe they think is better pressure.
Well, I think what we saw today was a lot shiftier race course than we've seen in the past. So using that boat speed to boot it towards some good shifts, which they obviously got in that one, is what you need. And possibly in that first race, I think, not possibly for sure, they had a better jib on, coated jib on for that wind range than Rossa did.
Yeah, shorter on the hoist and smaller area.
It was considerably smaller. It wasn't just a 1-code smaller jib, it was a 2-code smaller jib than Rossa.
Yeah, and then I guess, a lot of that probably comes back to the foil shapes and sizes as well, being able to sail that really low fast mode, cover some race course while you need to get to the pressure. It's well and good if you obviously get the shift right. But yeah, if you get it wrong, you're sailing a lot of extra distance as well.
Yeah, certainly in that first race, we probably had, started in the 12 to 14 knot range, really, probably as much as we've seen, like we saw on the first day. But for sure, we saw a significant speed advantage for Team New Zealand for the first time. The fabled speed advantage that's being talked about, man, they really utilised it today. So you wonder, on that first day, did they have the correct setup going?
Yeah.
I guess they've just learned a lot in the last few days.
And I guess that's the cool thing as well from a spectator standpoint, is we haven't seen that many different conditions yet. It was light again today, but very different, like you said, more dynamic, more shifty. There's some big holes out there, which brings us, I guess, to the second race, which both teams sort of found one pretty good one at some point. And I mean, I keep saying, in the build-up, the most exciting races are probably going to be in the lighter airs, and man, that last race today was really exciting.
Yeah, what was really interesting leading into that second race was that by the end of the first race, the wind was dropping quite visually. I was out on the water today, and visually it was dropping quite a lot. On our boat that we were sitting on, it was down on average probably 2 knots. We were seeing sort of 9.5, 9 knots previous to the race, and all the cloud that had been sitting over the land had started working way over its course. So any thermal component to the breeze was going to get shut down. So it really looked like a dying breeze. And then we saw Team New Zealand hoist the same jib, or if it wasn't the same jib, it was very, very similar to it. Because again, leading into that second race, there was a big different size in those jibs. Again, looked very similar to the first race. And I'm sure, probably once they were in the pre-start, they were thinking, "Oh, crikey, we haven't got this one right," and it showed on that first lap.
Yeah, I mean the Italians once again, won the start, albeit not massively though. I mean the Kiwis got a start sort of tight on their hip, and the Italians were pretty quick to start squeezing them off, and the Kiwis split right, and then. I think what we're sort of seeing with the dynamic of the racing is, I mean, we talked about the speed of the Kiwi boats, but the Italians sort of seem like sometimes they're willing to take a little bit of a risk, a little bit of a split, because, they need to establish a lead early on and then try and protect it after that. And so it's a dangerous game to play if you're having a tight race and you make a bad decision, it comes back to cost you. So sometimes you kind of have to, take those little risks. If you think, back yourself, it's gonna get us a bit more of a lead and a bit more comfortable sort of feeling on board. But I mean, the Kiwis once again, they closed it up on that first downwind and looked like they were setting up to maybe pass Rossa after the jibe, and then they jibed away, and I'm not sure if they just jibed into a hole or there was a combination of maybe exiting out of the jibe too low, but they dropped off the foils, and before you know it, the Italians were 2,500 metres ahead.
Yeah, I think I don't think it was just a hole. For me, there was some sort of error on board as well in that combination of things. But for sure, it got soft, and then that was a double for them with a little jib on, not having the power to get back up and going very quickly. And it looked at that stage like Rossa were going to walk away with it. But as we've seen in these boats, especially before Christmas and those conditions, once it starts getting soft like that, you know that it's anybody's game right to the end if they fall off. And to be honest, I think Rossa got really unlucky at that second top mark rounding where they just rounded that in the lightest patch of the day. The breeze had been shifted more left. The course had been shifted more left for that race, which put it right under the lee of Motahi Island. And they managed to get round that at the worst time possible.
Yeah, we're sort of looking at the numbers going into that tack, which they obviously came off the foils, and the numbers looked to me like they were high enough that you should have been able to execute a foiling tack there. And yes, the breeze had knocked off a couple of knots, and it was a tricky manoeuvre, but sort of seemed like as they were going halfway through, I'm not sure if it was a combination of maybe starting to lift the old board up too fast and deloading that as you load the new board, but it sort of looked like for a second the boat kind of dropped. They were quite high on the foil going into it, so I wonder if there was maybe a slight bit of air pocket or something on the foil that kind of tripped them up for a second, and then you could see that the boat touched down, and it was like everyone sort of knew, something's about to happen.
Their breath in Italy, trying to wish it back up again.
And you got to give credit to the Kiwis because they stayed on the foil for the whole race after that point, and you can see your competitor dead in the water up there. You're sailing into the same breeze. The intensity and the pressure on board the boat would have been so high for both teams, because you can see the lead changing so quickly, and it wasn't just game over once they got the lead. They still had to execute every manoeuvre and stay on the foil, and the Italians were obviously trying as hard as they could because they know, the Kiwis are only one mistake away from falling off as well.
That little jib on again, they would have been eking into it every tack. It was quite a classic comment from on the boat at one point during that race. I think Glenn Ashby asked Pete, "Hey, how's it feeling, Pete?" And Pete came back with a little chuckle and said, "As good as it's ever going to feel for this combination and 8 knots of wind." Yeah, knowing that they were completely in the wrong setup. But hey, they did it. They managed to get round the course. They held their nerve. They under pressure, and now 2-0 for the day. It's I said yesterday it was going to be moving day today.
Yeah.
Like your third day of your golf tournament.
Yeah, exactly.
They put themselves in a really good position to win this event.
Yeah, and that sets us up, I guess, for an exciting day tomorrow. Another light sort of forecast, and I mean, if today was anything to go by in those conditions, it's some pretty exciting racing, but it'll be high pressure, and I guess can't wait to get back and have a look tomorrow.
Yeah, well, thanks, mate, and thank you everybody for tuning in. It's late here tonight in Auckland. Thanks to all the sponsors and supporters for making this happen here, and we'll bring you all the action again here tomorrow from the Emirates Cup Village here in Auckland.
Come on!